Hey everyone, what's up? It's Blue. I know this video is really late and it's kind of not going to get as much as traction as it should because it's coming out. We've got an hour until the PCL starts here today. It is week 1 of phase 2, and there has been some roster adjustments for some teams. Remember, some new teams came in through relegations, and some players have been jumbled around. Some have left their former teams, and some have joined other teams as well. And with the new roster rules, that will probably be the final roster rules of the PCL, are making a lot of these changes a lot more difficult for people, and we'll get into that a little bit here. But real quick, let's go through a quick rundown, and I'll give you my quick opinions on this. Not really breaking anything down too much, but like I said, just the quick. Starting off with what we thought was Nemesis. Apparently will be playing under probably the Heating Up name once again, but in phase 1 they were Whoosh, Jeff the Raccoon, remember that's Miracle, Richie, I'm Calamity, that's Dovahkiin, if you forgot, and then SoldierBot. Well, it appears SoldierBot has left the team, but Sir James Parker is back from his suspension that he was serving in the first half of the season. So SJP, look for him to be back in that lineup. Flame Effects, who was on the Sanguine PC team, has moved to console after he was dropped or left the team. Don't really know what happened there with that situation, but he's playing on console now. He'll be playing the off tank, which is primarily that flex 1 position for the team. And then you have Whoosh, Jeff, and Richie back at it again. Remember, Jeff is in the top 5 for the MVP of this season, so look for him to make some more awesome plays and keep his team within reach of their goals. For Onslaught, which will probably give the first team we just talked about a run for their money like they did in the first half of the season. You had Other Shutter, Where to Glop, TKO Ghost, Swarmso, and Fiery Impact. Now, if you look at their phase 2 roster, it does look a lot different, like they've overhauled, but actually they haven't. They've only made one addition, and I'll tell you why. So Onishi is actually Other Shutter. He just changed his name. Jumangok is actually Where to Glop. He just changed his name. Ralkion comes in for the DPS role now. You remember him. He played on 2 other teams, I believe it was. Big Money Esports and Low Key Scheming during that season, or during this season at the beginning of the phase. You have Swarmsheet, who is actually Swarmcell and just changed his name once again. And then you have OSX Ghost, which is basically TKO Ghost. So Onslaught X Ghost. That's simple enough. It's pretty awesome looking as well. Looks a lot cleaner than TKO, and maybe he won't get called T-Cox again. So Fiery Impact no longer on the team. I don't know if he was dropped or he left, but he's not on Onslaught anymore. Next we have Hydra. This is one of the teams that came through in relegations. They had Karan, Blackout, Mwadak, FKA Johnny, killed by Dayton. They also had another player called The Chosen. They had I'm Bomb King as a sub. They also had VX Glad. Basically, none of those players, except for Mwadak, are on this team anymore. And you know, if you go back to phase 1 relegations or phase 1's qualifying bracket, Stremix got pretty much snaked out of the PCL by these exact players who have seemed to snake their way back into the PCL. You look at Izzy, Hatsu, King Business, and Fiery Impact. By the way, Business changed his name. He was Business with some numbers. Now he's King Business. King Business, Hatsu Chibi, and Izzy Tyler, they were on teams that got relegated. Low Key Scheming, Big Money Esports, those teams didn't make it back into the league for the second half of this season, but yet these players have made it back into the league for the second half of the season. I was really looking forward to the roster of Hydra from the relegation because they beat Low Key Scheming, they beat Big Money Esports, they beat Stremix. They went 3-0 in relegations. They were looking really good. Dayton has been grinding the game. Wadak's been improving as well since he doesn't have that much competitive experience before this year. Dayton's been improving. FKA Johnny, Blackout has returned. Johnny and Karan, they're interested in playing competitively. So I was really interested to see this lineup. But of course, you have these guys back in the lineup. So Izzy Tyler was Izzy Mitchell, so he changed his name. Hatsu Chibi is back. I believe he might have changed his name, but that's his name from what I know of. Mwadak is back. King Business, once again, changed his name from Business. And Fiery Impact, who is no longer on Onslaught, is now on the Hydra squad. So looking forward to seeing what these guys can do with a new name. And they're signed to an org after they didn't even need to qualify for the league. And they're going to be upset that I talked a lot of crap about them, but these are facts. You didn't qualify. You didn't make it back in the league, but yet you're back in the league. And where are the guys that worked hard and got that Hydra team into the league? Next up, we have Stremix, Swarm K. I don't know what that says. Kaser, Soler, Erados, and Jose the Pizza. If I'm correct, Erados is actually Diego or Diego. Yeah, he spelled it weird though. But I think it was Diego. I think that's him. That was the Relegations roster. Look at their current roster. They have Swarm, Kaser, Erados are pretty much still in the lineup. And so is Soler, but Soler has moved to that flex 2 position, mainly because he's the blaster and will play other things if needed. Erados is strictly that hit scan DPS player for them. And Power Mateus coming back into this lineup as well, and that's pretty much one of the carries of the team. Between Power Mateus and Soler, that's like the strength of this team. So looking forward to seeing what the LATAM squad can finally do. They finally made PCL as well, so good luck to them. Let's move on to Elevate. Trensic Shoe, Exodia, Wonderful, and Emit Pain. A lot of people speculated that there would be a change on this roster, specifically Exodia, or aka Atomic Boom. He underperformed, a lot of people thought, at the MSI. They thought he was going to get, they were going to drop him and look towards other solutions, but it may look like they did here, but they did not. They bring in Exodia again. He just changed his name. Instead of EX6 DIA, it's now EXD1A. So he's back on the squad. They said they're all good now. Same squad, same team. I'm guessing Ludex is going to be their coach again, so we'll see how that goes for them. Cats on Mars, Taco Bell Waifu, which is Sam, aka I Suck at Paladin, Mr. Pickles, Cool Matt, Clever Pup, and G-Pan Velocity. G-Pan Velocity is no longer on the team, and Cool Matt's no longer on the team as well. Cool Matt, I really feel bad for Cool Matt. He kind of got effed over. He played for Cats on Mars, which is in the Xbox North American division. Then he was seen playing, I think, 2 weeks this first half of the season with Bust Down, which is an Xbox European team. And then he went to the mid-season invitational LAN event with Nemesis, which was the PS4 North American team. Now there's Region and Console Lock, so he's kind of, is he stuck on PS4 and A, or is he, if he is, do you pick him up instead of Richie? To me, no. I think they're both talented players. I think Cool Matt has proven to be the better player over time. Through the years, through the months, through the different types of tournaments and phases, whatever it may be. So, but this season, I think he's not had as good of a season as Richie, mainly because he's played for 3 different teams. He's played against maybe better teams with Cyclone and Elevate during that time. He wasn't surrounded by as much talent to help him as Richie was with Onslaught and Richie was with Nemesis before the MSI. So I think Richie's doing better this season. They kind of have similar champ pools at the moment, and Richie doesn't really have to worry about switching those blasters like Willow. And Cool Matt's kind of out of the meta, but the meta's kind of shifting right now. So Cool Matt could find a home, but is he locked to Xbox NA, Xbox EU, PS4 NA? That's the question I have. Clever Pup is still there. Mr. Pickles is still here from what I believe. He's the one who's been relaying information to me, and I believe he's still the captain of this team. But today they will be, or in week 1, they will be playing with a sub, Chahula Tink. So this will be her first time in the PCL, so good luck to her. Taco Bell Waifu is back as well. And for their 2 pickups, they pick up Ian Hart. I think that was the best of what was left, basically, for DPS players in the Xbox NA region that are not super locked to that console. Don't forget, you can check out the Console Corner Discord. Links in the description below. There is a free agent request if you want to have your name put on the free agent form. There's a channel for that, and there's also a channel where you can look at the free agent list and the PCL rosters, PML rosters, and PPL rosters as well. And then they bring in Regan. I think Regan, once again, best case scenario. Although I am super questionable of how Regan can play for this team, considering he played for Bust Down a bunch of times, and he also played for Cats on Mars in Season 1. So that's EU and NA being swapped over again. So Cool Matt should be able to find a team if Regan can. So I don't think Regan's the best at flexing onto different champions, but probably the best of what's left right now. For E-Storm, we have Struck User, Undulant Gaming, Counter, Dishonor, and Ochada Kabasi, or whatever his name is. I always think of Kilbasi when I see his name. They have Counter, Dishonor, V8, Struck User, and Temper this time. So basically, they've found themselves a straight 5 main roster. They've swapped some roles among those players, and they feel more comfortable, especially when they have the coach of Zetha, who used to play for one of the PGS teams that made LAN for LatAm. I believe it was Armada, maybe? No, it was not. It was Zaga Talent. There you go. Yes, I remember now. They had a good run, so he knows what he's doing, and hopefully he helps the team. They did go 3-0 in relegation, so that is a step up from earlier before. Also, V8 coming back. He has improved. Just don't use any troll loadouts, and he should be all good. Wasted Potential. They came through from Relegations in Xbox North America as well, so they took Retaliation spot, basically. You have Jehovah, Bandmaid, XPOW, Pronto, and Shala. But GPan Velocity has joined this squad since he's no longer on Cats on Mars, and that has opened up endless possibilities. XPOW has been moved to sub, but he will be playing this week because Shala did not. Shala has been moved to DPS as GPan has come in and slotted right into the role that he was playing with Cats on Mars. And Pronto and Jehovah's has kind of switched. Jehovah's will be playing those off tanks now, apparently, and Pronto will be playing the more main tanks. So if they ever go triple DPS, Pronto most likely, in my opinion, should be that frontline playing. Looking forward to seeing this team play. I was really looking forward to seeing XPOW and Shala trying to do things in tandem, but now they have GPan and Shala. But we will see, once again, XPOW in week 1 for the sub. For Flashpoint, they actually made a change too. You have Legacy, Storm, Avatar, Prosper, Logic, World, and Skeppy from Phase 1. It was World was very vocal about wanting to leave this squad and play for another team. Early on the season, he ended up staying with them, and then there was rumors that he would go to Cyclone at the end of the season. He would go to Nemesis. Maybe he was going to Onslaught. A lot of talk. Anyways, the region and console locks kind of got in his way. And once he was off of Flashpoint, there's really no other option to go there for a player like his stature. In his opinion, in my opinion, you know, you can play for these other teams. Stush is promising. They need a front line. They could use a step up from what they have right now. Aerial Arise could use a step up in a leader because I don't think they have one right now. I think Earnest Manner could use someone as well, or they could have, but we'll get into that here in a little bit. So Legacy, Storm, Prosper, and Skeppy are still on the team, and they brought back Goodlad. This was probably inevitable. I mean, at the beginning of the season, he was playing for Nemesis at one point. He was playing for his own team, Flashpoint, and you know he had to take a rest. He had to take a step back from competing because of real life stuff. But hopefully that's all done and over with, taken care of, and he's back in the lineup. So the power Flashpoint is back pretty much. Not that they were weaker with World, but still a powerhouse, and it's pretty much the original Flashpoint we've all come to love at this point. Aerial Rise, Alex Kidd, Tariq, Paradoxy God, Sir Benji, and Atomic AMK. So Atomic AMK has actually been moved to the sub spot. No details on why. And Cod Riser, who was seen playing for, I believe, Stush Gaming one time in the first half of the season and went like 1-3-0. Like got 1 kill in like a 20-minute game on Tyra, so I was not very impressed. He is actually the second sub on Aerial Arise now, with Atomic AMK being the first. As I said, Alex Kidd still on the team as the front line. And this is going to get a little confusing here. So Paraslay is actually Paradoxy God, so he's still on the team, just changed his name. I think this name's better too. Sounds cooler, shorter. And easier to say. So he has moved to that flex 2 position because they brought in unlimited fails. This is weird for me. The reason why he wasn't able to finish the season with Earnest Manner, from what I was told, is because he just didn't want to play the game. He was unreliable, something along that lines. I don't really remember. It doesn't really matter. Anyways, he's back, so hopefully he can stay on the team and finish out the rest of the season with this squad and get some good stuff in. He was player of the week once, so just try and repeat that, I guess. And then we have Misto. Misto actually subbed in for Tariq when Tariq was on holiday earlier in the season, so this is kind of a fit that made sense since Tariq did not want to play for this squad anymore. Tariq tried to actually go to a different team. That didn't work out during relegations because he was roster locked to Aerial Arise. And now I heard rumors he was trying to switch to Xbox. Well, guess what, buddy? Console locked, man. So Tariq's kind of in the same boat as World and Cool Matt right now, just stuck in the temporal zone. Can't really go anywhere by their decision. Then they have Plus Laid Deisajin. I think I said that right, or maybe it's Plus Laid Sadejin. Anyways, this I asked the person what this name means. Basically means they're the ugliest of their generation. And that's actually Sir Benji. So they only made 2 roster changes. That's Misto and Unlimited Fails. Other 3 are still the same. And Plus Laid Deisajin is actually, like I said, Sir Benji. So he's still there as well. Up next, we have Earnest Manner, V-Clax, V-Con, King Nick, It's Beanie, and Ernest. This was always funny because you had V-Clax and V-Con. Now you have King Nick and King Itik. So Itik, everyone should know who that is. In Season 1 of the PCL, he was part of Sir Benji's squad, but he actually left, and he went over to play with Cyclone, which was like one of the biggest moves. There was a lot of hype around it, and to me, he was the biggest bust 2018's PCL pretty much. So look, he hasn't played since then. He didn't play in phase 1, so hopefully he can come in and do some stuff. So King Itik, Filleted, correct me if I'm wrong, and I believe Barcode 2 maybe, all came over from the Kingsman that roster that didn't make it, which suits King Itik and King Nick, even though Nick wasn't part of that, I don't think. So King Nick returns. Instead of playing DPS, though, he's going to be playing the flex 1 position, more off-tank roles instead of those damage roles. I think that's good for him because you have Ernest, who is now Ernest Deegan again, but he kept the X. Will be playing that flex 2 role. I think he does it well. He plays the blasters for them now. But you can also have the blasters being played by their new DPS player, and that's Barcode. That's N Barcode, or I'm Keyboard Player for a lot of you who don't know Barcode. He was actually banned. He tried to play for 2 different teams after qualifying for 1 in the qualifiers of the beginning of the season, so he was banned. That ban has been lifted. He is back and hopefully reformed. Hopefully he doesn't make any dumb decisions again or say any stupid stuff on Twitter, because that's the 2 main reasons why people get suspended and banned now. So he's back. Filleted coming in for the support. I think that's a good move too. He played DPS in Season 1 of the PCL, which was in 2018. A lot of people, they get confused. They think the season just ended and this is a new season. It's not. This is still the same season. Season 1 was in 2018. That was the inaugural season. Filleted actually played DPS and was a sub for Flashpoint. So he has some experience under his belt as well. Looking forward to seeing what he can do. Next up, we have Stush. For Stush, throughout the entire mid-season break, all I heard from these people were, there's some roster changes coming, there's some roster changes coming, there's some roster changes coming. Well, the Rain, Thompson, BYC, Chico, Ali Lowell, Nico New. You look at their new roster, and it's not new, it's the same roster. This week, they will be playing with a sub, I think, Tazlan. And if that's what your big roster change was, you change your sub from Tazlan to from Super Sipo to Tazlan, then that's not exciting. I want exciting roster changes. I think this team could really use some upgrades. Maybe the Rain getting upgraded in the front line, getting upgraded in flex 2 position. I think those were their 2 most shaky ones and weren't really as consistent. I think Chico, I cut him a break because he's a rookie. Hasn't really, this whole team's a rookie besides the Rain. He's played in the PCL before. But the other, he's much newer. He hasn't competed in the competitive scene as much as the rest of these players, so I cut him a little bit of break because of that. Tots and Alilo, they've been doing great this season, but the Rain, Nico, I think those are the 2 weakest points of this team and could be upgraded. For Cyclone, so they had Smutney, Westside, Welshmania, Thanax, and Slopodopolis. They also had Kings too, but he couldn't go to land, so Westside was the one who stepped in as the support. That's the only reason why. They also had Harvey early on in the season, so they've had a lot of roster changes already. And in Phase 2, they're going to have more. So Yui, actually, who was playing for Elevate at MSI, and he was playing frontline for Bust Down throughout the entire season, has moved over to Cyclone. So he's back with his buddy Welsh. Kings is back in the lineup as well. I think it's because there's really no one left in Xbox EU to grab. So you have to grab Kings, but unfortunately he's not going to be able to go to LAN. And there was also rumors that Harvey was back on the team, so we'll see if that happens. Welshmania back at the DPS, of course. You have Fanatics back at Flex 1, and Flopodopoulos is no longer on the team. Now, a lot of people who are not in the know and don't know what's happening, it's because he has moved to PC. He is now on the All Business Paladins minor league team. So you'll see him in the PML. So they have Scarcity, which used to be named Potent. He played for Radiant Esports both times in Season 1 in 2018 and earlier in this season. His team was relegated. Now he's on this team. I think he was the best player on that team. I think he just got a lot of slack. There is one, and he's been teammates with Kings and Fanatics before, so that could work out and bring a lot of familiarity to this roster. Let's move on, because there is another Radiant player from this season that is still in the league. We'll get to that here in a second. So Yui, Dreams, Wildcarded, Whitey, Emberfish make up bust down of Phase 1. Pretty much. Phase 2, they bring in Styles because Yui is gone. He's on Cyclone. I think that's a good move, actually. Styles played 1 week with bust down earlier in Phase 1, and it was a very good week. He had good games. He looked like his championship self from the 2018 HRX back in January, so hopefully he's able to make some great plays again. Dreams is back on support. I think that's a good idea. I think she still needs to get a bigger champ pool, and she still needs to work on some things. Paradogo actually played for them in week 1 of Phase 1, so he's back in the lineup. So that'll be interesting. I don't know where Wildcard is, actually. He's not on a roster anymore, so that'll be interesting to see where he ends up. He could end up anywhere, whether it be Cyclone or Bust Down, or maybe one of the other two teams. The big problem here is that he probably won't get on a team because no one probably likes him, because everybody in the Xbox EU pretty much just fights each other, and there's like this group of friends and this group of friends and this group of friends and this group of friends, and like if you're not in those groups, you can't get anywhere outside of those groups. Kind of that's like the impression I get from that over the past year. So if you're trying to win a game, dude, just grab some good players or players that have good chemistry or work good with your style or the meta you're trying to run, and just win some games, man. So Emberfish is back in the lineup as well. I think this is a good fit for him. I don't think he wants to play on this team because, you know, he was very upset he got roster locked in week 13 because he was subbing. But then again, you have to fill out the sub form the correct way. Whatever it may be, I think this is a good fit for him. He'll be able to play with Styles and people like Dreams and Ariavin too, so he can learn from Styles, he can improve himself, and he can play at the top level, which is PCL for console, and he can play against people like Cyclone on a week-to-week basis, so I think that's good for him. Then you have Ariavin. I think he had a good first Phase 1. He's in the top he's one of the top candidates for Rookie of the Year so far, so I think this is a big improvement. I think he had good weeks. It's just that, like, he has a problem where he doesn't wake up on time, so he's not very trustworthy. He's got to work on that. Let's move on to GPS, which is actually stands for Grok, Paper, Scissors. I like that name. It's awesome. This is basically the Team Viral roster. But they had Slaya, Darku, Umeda, Tully, and Duffman was their final roster for the end of Phase 1. But they've moved in a new direction. Slaya has taken ownership of the team. He's the captain. He's changed the name. They went through Relegations. They made it. And he's picked up some new players and some good players, dude. He's got Smutney now that he's not on Cyclone anymore. I think that's a good move. I think moving him to a flex position is good too. He's not really a great tank, but he's not a great support either. But he's really good at both of them. So if you kind of have him in that flex role, he's able to do both. And he has like a frag mentality. He wants to kill things. So there you go. Sibs finally making back in. Remember, he was on the Team Viral in Season 1. So I always thought he was a decent player. He just had a bad team he was paired with. It seems like this is a better team for him, so see how it goes. Remember, I told you there was another Radiant player from this season that made back into the PCL, and that would be Sheik. Sheik showed a lot of promise and had some really good games. Top damage a lot of times, did really good on the hit scans, but unfortunately they were unable to win the game, so he didn't look as good as he could, in my opinion. But he's back in the PCL. He's on this GPS roster for Phase 2. I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do with those hit scans like Leon, Vivian, and Victor once again. Lexi Zen is back in the PCL. That's right. If you don't know who Lexi Zen is, they were playing for the Vexed roster that made the finals at the World Championship. So hopefully Lexi can get some good plays in and back on support. They should do just fine. And last but not least, we have, I think this is pronounced Vroom Vroom. This is the Ninja X in Pajama roster from Relegations. as you can see why they were called Ninja X in pajamas. Ninja Zen, Crap, LZ Legends, Naiju, and Hunter XV. Now, basically the same roster, except for that Valerian has stepped in for Hunter, which means he's moved to the DPS role, and Naiju and LZ Legends have moved to, or LZ Legends has moved to that flex position. I still don't think this French roster is going to do as amazing as they expect, maybe. Here's the positive. You have Valerian, who has shown promise in the competitive scene as of lately when they did play. Remember, I think he's the one who broke 4 fingers or 5 fingers or something. Broke a bunch of fingers during the qualifiers earlier in the season, so that pretty much cost them that. Ninja Zen and Naiju back and together again, that tank duo. Hopefully they play more tanks. I know I used to praise them for saying they're like one of the best tank duos in Paladin's console, but then they kind of like destroyed me because Ninja Zen stopped playing. He was off and on. Naiju was the same way, but then again, Naiju was trying to flex to different roles like damage and all this weird stuff that he can't play, so it was really weird. So hopefully he just sticks with those off tanks and Ninja Zen sticks with those main tanks. Craft on support, this is their first time in the PCL. I think they'll do okay. They have some guidance and some experience to learn from with the rest of these players on their team. He could definitely learn something from LZ Legends, and that would be not to die as much, because LZ Legends led the league in 2018 in most deaths, and to be frank, there's still people that still have less deaths now through 13 weeks than he did in 6. And those were best of 3s every week, not best of 5s. So that's insane. So I think this roster will do okay. It'll be interesting to see how they do against the other 3 teams in their division. But that's pretty much it for this. My name is Blue. This has been our Console Pro News exclusive. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at ConsoleProNews. Don't forget to subscribe to the video, comment, like, share, do all of that stuff, whatever it may be. You can follow me on you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter, both at RealBlueTV, no E in blue. Check you later.